It's always interesting, isn't it? Group dynamics. When you watch any group, whether it be a family or a group of people who know each other, a group of friends, or a group that's thrown together, and people who have no idea who each other are, and they're thrown together, different backgrounds, different people, different ages, different walks of life, different occupations, different mindsets, different education levels, different beliefs. It's interesting, isn't it, when you watch them all come together? Invariably, there is a leader or a few leaders, either a nominated one or one that nominates themselves, or a few people step up to take that role. And it could be it's perfectly clear to the other people in the group who that is or who they are, and that's followed. And then other times it's not always clear, or people don't want to follow who's nominated themselves as a leader, or even the nominated one. Sometimes there's trouble with, isn't there? People don't necessarily want that leader. But if anybody steps out of place, it's only tolerated for so long. And it depends who that person is that steps out of place, for how long it's tolerated. Anybody's different, again, depends on who they are within the group, what they can offer to the group, of whether it's tolerated or not. Sometimes it can be tolerated. Sometimes excuses are found. And once the group turns, for them all to be on the same side against one person, or in the belief of one person doing something wrong, behaving differently, and not necessarily wanted. It's very interesting to see how quickly things turn and how completely they turn. Sometimes in a group you find those who are just quiet, they just get on with it, they just turn up, they do their job, they don't care, they don't engage with other people, either at the time of the group more than they have to, and certainly not outside the group. They just turn up, they show their face, they get out of it whatever they need to get out of it, and they don't stir anything up. And often those people can have the most to offer, but nobody's bothered with them. They don't stir, they don't threaten, they don't anything. They just turn up, accept their role as the quiet ones. They may be the loudest in their own groups. They just get on with it. They're pleasant, they agree with most people, they don't cause a fuss. They probably go unnoticed, to be honest, unless one day they say something or disagree with somebody or stand out for some other reason, dare to do something different. It's really, really interesting to see how people adapt to that, how people adapt to different standards of people, who they accept and who they don't. And you can display the same behaviour as someone else, exactly the same behaviour, but if you're useful to that group, or if you have understanding in some other ways, your behaviour is fine. It won't be commented on, it'll be accepted, it'll be acknowledged, it'll be okay. But the other person's won't be. And that'll be the one that's commented on constantly. People look at you and they make assumptions of who you are without actually trying to get to know you. They take things on their own standards. They judge people by who they are. If people display money that particular way, then the same way as them, then they'll think, okay, they've got money. If they live their life exactly the same way, then that's fine. They have the same beliefs, that's perfectly okay. They treat people the same, it's all right. Even if what they're saying is insulting to other people or not accepting or actually quite rude if you take it outside of that group. It's really interesting, isn't it, how groups work. And when you step outside of it, after having been noticed for who you actually are, who you were the whole time, and they just didn't give you a chance for the goodness to shine through, or your status, standing, whatever it is they judge you on, and they realise they've judged you incorrectly. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. What happens and how they'll talk happily about other people, and you'll have done the same behaviour. It's quite interesting to hear that when you hear other people talking about other people and you think, oh, hold a minute, I've done that. I wonder at which point you criticised me for that, or who it was that criticised me. Group dynamics happens everywhere, doesn't it? And often the best thing you can do is just quietly retreat from it all and not tell everybody or even anybody your plan. You can let them believe something else is going on. There's another reason for your absence. And just quietly step away and leave them all to get on with it, because you know that even if you've been in the thick of it, bless me as I sneeze, or you've watched somebody else go through it, and a few people in the particular group I'm thinking about, there's a few people that have gone through not necessarily being ostracised because they've always come, but being treated rudely, or certain behaviours have to stop, but it's okay for others to do it. It's really interesting. And sometimes that's because they've dared to step up and take on a role that they weren't assigned, or people think they're trying to take on the leadership, step up and rule the group, step up and be something that they're not allowed to be. It'd be interesting to see in other groups if that behaviour happens naturally from the start, or is it down to the people who run the group, that they're not necessarily stepping in and taking care of things, or maybe they're stepping outside of the values that really they should have, of they want to be in the in-group and accepted, so they're trying to emulate the behaviour of other people, the other leaders of the group, but they don't realise how the people in the group are quite happy to slag them off, talk badly about them, insult them. It's all interesting, isn't it? It's all very, very interesting. And if you come down on the side of supporting the wrong person, no matter who you are, sometimes you're ostracised too. Or there's a certain belief about you that goes round. I find it fascinating, absolutely fascinating psychology, to be in it, but also to observe it happening and see what other people notice and what they don't notice. And it really is fascinating, absolutely fascinating, just to see what goes on. And these ducks will have exactly the same thing going on within their groups. There'll be a leader, or a few ready to step up. There'll be some that follow absolutely whatever they're told. And there'll be also a few, hopefully, that stand out against the norm and actually think, no, I'm going to be who I want to be. No, I don't need to follow you. No. I'm going to set my own path, thank you very much. I don't need to be part of you. And there'll be some that may have tried to be part of that group. And then when they are, and when they hear the acceptance, they actually think, gosh, I feel more insulted than ever that people think I'm part of this group, that I belong to this group. And it's interesting to see what will happen when those that have fought for acceptance and try to be accepted are finally accepted, and they think, nah, I don't want to be part of this group after all, thank you very much, I'm just going to fly away. I wonder what happens then. Group dynamics. What groups are you part of that you really shouldn't be? That perhaps you're fighting to be part of and actually need to walk away from. Or maybe there's some that you're the leader of and you realise that you can change your behaviour to accept people. Interesting, isn't it? It leads into, and maybe this is a completely different clip for another day, or maybe later on today, after I've been for some refreshments. How far do we go to be accepted? Should we leave when we realise we're not wanted in a group, really? When we feel we're not wanted? When people say we're not wanted? When it's absolutely quite clear? Or should we stand our ground and say, no, actually, I'm here, I'm coming, I'm paying my money, I belong here? That's a whole other issue, isn't it? A whole other issue. But I won't be part of, because that group I'm talking about, I think, are trying to push one person out. And I don't want to be there when that happens. I don't want that linked to me at all, because who's next? They seem to move through different people. I know I've had my go, but it can come back to me very, very quickly. It's been other people, they're still there. They've stood their ground. Maybe they don't pick up on the signs. Maybe they just don't care, but they're still there. I'm not sure about this other person, what they will do. But I don't want to see it all happen. I've tried to get that person accepted. And I've had to acknowledge that it won't be the case. It's not down to me to force it. It's not down to me to push it. They've got to want to. And they have no desire to do that, I don't think. Which is very, very sad.